Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Roma Press live stream. Today, we are here to preview tomorrow afternoon's match with Monza at the Stadio Olimpico. It will be the first time, I believe, in 2 years that we will play so early on in the day. So, hopefully, the result tomorrow is good and we can do a live stream right after without getting unnecessarily depressed. So, thank you, everyone who is here with me now. I really appreciate it. I see somebody already took took notice of the thumbnail to this video, which included Papu Gomez. The thumbnail was created prior to the news that Papu Gomez was involved in doping and tested positive. For doping and was consequently banned for 2 years. He will not be available tomorrow. Unfortunately, my technical skills when it comes to composing these thumbnails is limited, and I did not want to bother John with it anymore. So, according to Roma Press, Papu Gomez is still a go for tomorrow. Obviously, he will not be there. So, hello, guys. Hi, Sylv. Center back dilemma: play Llorente or Cristante. I prefer Cristante. Give him rest and Diego more time to prepare. We'll get into it. Sylv, Jose Mourinho spoke to the media about an hour ago. He concluded his press conference, and there were some interesting things. Perhaps not the most fascinating of press conferences, but I think there are some takeaways that we can discuss. Hi, Johnny. Thank you for being here with me. Alex, same to you. Thank you for following me all the way from Accra, Ghana. Fantastic. We got Nino in the chat. Banksbo still working in the shadow for his former players. Now, I want to set the record straight because I like to make fun of Atalanta and I like to make fun of Jens Banksbo, the athletic trainer of Atalanta, who on numerous occasions was, sarcastically, jokingly made fun of for supposedly, cooking up potion and making Atalanta players play 150% every day, every week. But this Papu Gomez news is strictly related to him as a Sevilla player. So Atalanta were not involved in this Papu Gomez situation. Hello, Sanchit. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the continuous stream of content. Well, thank you, guys. The stream of content is made possible because you are there and you are eager to know more about Roma. You follow us, you give us your support, and that really means the world to us. And that's why we keep doing this. Ciao, Nino. Thank you so much. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me. Roman, we have to talk about the time again, Andy. It's 7 a.m. I know, Roman, but the last time I think it was Sanchit who said I can't attend. So I have to balance these live streams, and whenever whenever I look after the Australia, Singapore, and so on, then I get the folks from the West Coast after me, and when I try to do a bit later on, we get comments from Australia and Japan, and so I think it's very difficult to balance these things out because of how international our audience is. Tomorrow, Roma will be playing pretty early on, like. Tomorrow they will be playing at 12:30 local time. So by the time the match is finished, it's more than likely going to be earlier than 7 a.m. At your place, Roman, because I assume you're in LA or somewhere. So 1 a.m. in Melbourne, Australia. See, Silva, I'm trying my best. So, but thank you for following me wherever you are. It's a Saturday, so if you want to sleep, you can watch this later on. I'm not keeping you here. We got another follower from Accra. Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Is it true that Sevilla knew about this doping, and if so, can it harm their stolen cup? I think a lot of people are very eager to find out what the consequences of this Papu Gomez situation can be for Sevilla, given that Papu Gomez was called up and was on the bench for Sevilla in the Europa League final, which I think a lot of us took issue with. So I don't know. I'm not following closely this situation. I don't know if Sevilla were aware of it or not. Um, More likes needed, guys. Exactly. We are 15 people. It's not much. I don't expect too many people. Perhaps tomorrow, if the result is good, we can do something after the game. And that's when I expect more people to come flowing in. But please give us a like. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. This is where you will get all the Roma Press podcast episodes in video. So now you can watch John and me talk and get frustrated and make fun of each other, finally, after all these years. But this is also where you get these live streams, and you get if you click on the bell next to the subscription button, you can get notified whenever I am scheduling these live streams, so you can stay up to date. Nino says, this international break felt so much longer than the last one. Not sure why. Yes. And guess what? We play like 4 or 5 games, and then we got another international break. I don't know who planned these things, who came up with the brilliant idea of stopping and starting again. I honestly think this is counterproductive to how a season is supposed to unravel. You are not able to build any sort of consistency. You're constantly disrupted, and you're constantly risking further injuries. So I really don't know what these organizations are thinking, because it doesn't benefit the clubs, it doesn't benefit the players. It's not like they're resting. So great to hear from you again. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you for following this live stream. Alex says, Andy, I think it do us a lot of good if Jose can bench these injury prone players and build the first 11 on those who can play 90 minutes with no issues and put in the hard work. Okay, so but I think that's where Jose is going right now. We can get into it right away with what Mourinho had to say today during the press conference. Mourinho shared, mostly the press conference served to, one, to share an update on the injured players, and two, to address the recent allegations against Stefan El Shaarawy and Nicola Zalewski with regards to their rumored involvement in the betting scandal that is, the one thing most talked about right now in Italian sports. So, when giving an update on the injured players, Mourinho said that Llorente is the only one of the players who were injured who recovered and will be there tomorrow. So Diego Llorente will be most likely on the bench. I don't think that Mourinho will risk starting him, given that Llorente joined the group in training only 2-3 days ago. I expect to see Brian Cristante start in the defense once again. Evan Dika will continue to start. In the meantime, Mourinho said that Smalling is back training with the team, but it will still take him some time. They want to make sure that Smalling, who is suffering from a chronic kind of pain, has fully recovered. They don't want to take any risks, also given his age. Let's see what else. A Roman says FBI said Pablo Gomez ate a jar of honey Gasparini gifted him. Okay, well, uh, that's that's Papu Gomez. Sylv, watch young John and Andy thought they were. Okay, yes, a lot of people had this assumption that that John and I were like in our 40s or 50s, which I don't know. Do we have old voices? I don't know. Maybe it's because we've been doing it so long, and who hangs around for 5 years talking about Roma on a podcast. Yes, this seems to be the direction. Yeah, Andy, you need to tell John to use the allegedly before and after he says something about banks, but etc., so you can relax and you don't have to save him all the time. Yes, John makes a lot of wild statements, um, and so sometimes I do have to refrain him. Um, that's we got each other's backs. Um, yes, so Mourinho continued and said with regards to tomorrow's match, he did not want to reveal who will play exactly. He only responded by saying, when asked if Belotti and Lukaku will indeed start again tomorrow, he said, mm, the encouraging thing is that we are scoring goals even in the absence of Paulo Dybala. And I think that's something that we all noticed, right? Is that whereas last year we were helpless, and whereas last year in this situation with Dybala out indefinitely, because there are rumors that he could be back against Inter, but we don't know. um, Last year, we would have been panicking. I would assume that last year, this whole chat right now would be in a depressed state, deep, deep depression, um, and not very positive, not very optimistic about our chances going forward. Now it seems like we can finally breathe. We are allowed to breathe. We are allowed to confide in Belotti, who now is actually scoring, and his impact is felt in the goals and assists that he's been delivering. And we got Romelu Lukaku, who is on fire. I mean, on fire would be an understatement, because he's been on an unbelievable run with Roma and Belgium. So it's looking good. And I think, for, as I said on the podcast, which if you haven't listened to already, you can also watch it on this channel right here ahead of tomorrow's match. The encouraging thing about this international break is that the players who left for international duty all contributed, all got to play. Nobody sat around and waited. And, no. Mancini played for Italy, Cristante played for Italy, El Shaarawy played for Italy, Lukaku played for Belgium and scored for Belgium, Houssem Aouar played and scored for Algeria, Sardar Azmoun played and scored for Iran, Evan Dika played for Ivory Coast. So those, it's one thing to see players leave on international duty and then waste their time away on the bench, or god forbid get injured, and another to see them actually perform. Sorry. um and I think it's not something we should take for granted, because in the past we've seen all kinds of things happen to this squad. But I think it's also safe to assume that tomorrow I don't see El Shaarawy starting. Okay, I think we can all agree that El Shaarawy, it's pretty evident he's a super sub. He doesn't have it in him to start a game and make a difference from the first minute. So, Mourinho can play all his tricks, all his games, mind games, whatever, but it's undeniable that Belotti and Lukaku work best for us, right? Yes, Michael says, I trust Lukaku Belotti to carry us to a win against Monza. Monza have been very good playing away. They've been a very good defensive team. They've conceded very few goals. They've scored few goals away, but they've conceded very few goals. They won against Lazio at the Stadio Olimpico. So this is not a team that you can, this is not the team that you beat at the Stadio Olimpico a year ago, 3-0, right? When Paulo Dybala scored his first goals for Roma. This is a different team. They're very well organized. They're strong. And even without Papu Gomez, they can be dangerous. So it's not going to be a walk in the park, but it is a good warm up to the match you're playing at San Siro Stadium. Sorry, a week from now against the Inter. So honestly, with the way Belotti and Lukaku have been performing, I usually don't make predictions. I'm usually not too optimistic when you get out of an international break, because as I said before, it disrupts your flow. It gets in the way. If you're building momentum, it gets in the way. But tomorrow, I do confide in Belotti and Lukaku. I really do, and I think that says a lot about them and their current form. Um, has Asmoon and Elsha also yes, we got Asmoon and Elsha also available to cover without Dybala. Yes, and I expect Sardar Asmoon to increasingly get more minutes. I don't think this is a player who came here to sit on the bench. I think he offers you a kind of versatility that you want to have in case, for example, Belotti runs out of gas, in case somebody up there gets injured, in case you need another attacker. I think Sardar Azmoun is the kind of player who complements very well with other players in the attack. So he's sort of this Swiss Army knife that I think you can deploy at any time in a match, whether it is you need a goal or whether it is you need to keep putting the pressure on the opponent. I think Azmoun will get his minutes, especially given the fact that he cannot play in the Europa League, right? He's not on Roma's UEFA list, so the only real chances he has of playing for the club is either in Serie A or Coppa Italia. Right now, we got a Serie A games on, so. Andy, Belotti works too hard. Jose should let him play all the time, whether we are losing or winning. He plays his heart out. Yes, absolutely. But that obviously also means that he gets tired a lot, and I think it's something you have to take into account. But his effort is undeniable. This is also he's the kind of player that if he's feeling it, he's feeling it. He'll keep delivering, and he doesn't need much to get excited about. Like, he just needs a clean look, and he even thrives off of an assist. He even thrives off of the ball movement. Like, if you watch how he recovers the ball against Cagliari, which then leads to I believe it was Lukaku's goal, right? He recovers the ball, he gets the ball into Rick Karsdorp's feet, and Karsdorp crosses it into Romelu Lukaku. I think Belotti, even in a situation like that, a situation that is apparent, seemingly on the surface, it doesn't really involve him. He just recovers the ball, right? But he thrives off of that. He thrives off of that movement, of the pressure. He knows when he does something right. He's not the kind of striker who is only feeling it when he scores, right? So, unlike, for example, Edin Dzeko did a lot of things right, and he was unbelievable when he was on and he was feeling it. He was unbelievable, but he didn't consider it a success if he did not score. And you could feel the pent up frustration and anger. Whereas Belotti, even when he doesn't get his match ball, he's still happy. If he was able to at least put the pressure on the opponent and free up a teammate and put a teammate in a position to score, he's happy. Will Solbakken ever play again, Nino? But Solbakken is in Greece. Did people miss this? Let me check. Let me check what Solbakken is doing in Greece. I'm surprised that people weren't aware of this. That we had our Norwegian god was not with us anymore. He's on loan at Olympiacos. So far, he has played 2 matches for them in the Greek league. 0 goals, 0 assists. Well, fingers crossed that it goes well for him, right? So, what else we got? Yeah, Monza have more points than us. We are the underdog. Definitely, Monza have been a surprise. Monza under Palladino have done very well. Like, this is a small team that has found its groove with the manager. Palladino never really lost his grip on this team. So I think definitely not an opponent that can be underestimated. Monza have conceded only 7 goals, but opposition have had 38 shots on target against them, one of the worst in the league. We need to convert our chances created. Yes, thank you so much for that, Sylv. That is really helpful. It's true. They've conceded only 7 goals, a lot of shots. It is up to Lukaku to continue make the difference. It's not like Roma all of a sudden are creating a lot. Roma have scored the second most goals in the league. Well, partly thanks to that game against Empoli, but also because really they've been doing quite the opposite of what they did last season. last season, we we would go on these runs where we'd have 20, 25 shots on goal, and end up maybe with one goal or zero goals, and this time around, I think the perfect encapsulation is Romelu Lukaku, who with one look, one glance, he scores. And I think that's something so encouraging and so refreshing after all we've been through for the last year, where Abraham, Belotti, El Sharawi, I mean, people banging those balls into the post, onto into straight into the goalkeeper's arms, off of an opponent, so frustrating, with the exception of Paulo Dybala. And here we are. So the mystery and the great secret is whether they can keep doing it, whether they can keep getting away with that having that one chance, two chances at most, and scoring right away. Belotti and Lukaku pair is much better than Paulo Dybala. I think for now it is. I think just Dybala and Lukaku are so different that they have to figure it out. Whereas Belotti is more similar to the other strikers that Lukaku has played in the past. Dybala is a different beast, and Dybala also wants the ball for himself, right? Belotti doesn't. So Nino missed the fact that all back and left to Greece. Yeah, no. If he was on the bench, you'd see him. I mean, he's the only blonde player we have, with the exception of Nikola Zaleski. I was sad that it didn't work out with him. Super unfortunate. I'm hoping the same doesn't happen with Asmoon. Yeah, with Asmoon, it's important not to lose your grip on him. Like, don't lose him. This is yes, maybe he's a player who wasn't 100% fit when he came here from Bayer Leverkusen. He's on loan with an option to buy, so his stay here is not guaranteed. But use him, give him a chance, because I think this is a guy who can give you the answers you're hoping to get from a bench player, and he's a player that Mourinho is known for having liked in the past. So there's definitely something there. Where are you? The background suggests a low budget motel. Thank you so much, Roman. Well, I mean, it's not a low budget. It's not a low budget motel. It's a mid budget Airbnb in the Canary Islands. So it's you have to imagine this is an island that looks Fuerteventura looks like a desert. It just looks like an old volcanic island off the coast of Africa. And there's no trees, there's no nothing. It's just sand, beaches, and the desert, and old volcanoes. Um, Alex says, this morning when I woke up, I felt Inter shaking. I think it's the reason they have been comparing Lukaku to whoever. I mean, Inter have been so annoying about this Lukaku thing. Um, they've been trying to play it off very cool, like, oh well, this is a guy that he betrayed us, we're not thinking about him anymore, we're not concerned about him. We got Marcus Thuram, we got Beppe Marotta, their sporting director, talking all kinds of crap. And then even Di Marco went on and said, I'm not even gonna say what I think of what Lukaku did in the Champions League final, where he deflected the headed effort by Di Marco in the Champions League final with Manchester City. It's also unnecessary, and I think it's going to be. I think Lukaku will embrace the adversity, definitely, and that's why it's so important to get tomorrow right, because you need Lukaku extra fired up for the match against Inter at San Siro. The last thing you can do, and obviously we'll talk more about this going forward, the last thing you can do or should do against Inter is go into that match deflated. You need to get fired up. You need to go on a scoring run against Monza, against Slavia Prague, and in the Europa League. But you need to get to that Inter game fired up and ready to go. Um, Sylv, Asmoon apparently wants to buy horses in Rome, and apparently Salik is interested. Yeah, Asmoon has been attending a lot of horse races. He loves horses. He's got 52 of them. This is, again, this is the stuff that this is the kind of information you find in Italian media. So don't blame the messenger. Yes, and he's apparently trying to invest in more horses in Rome, and Zeki Salik reportedly is one of the Roma teammates to show interest in that. Will Llorente play against Monza? I really don't think that he will start. I really doubt it. I would be very surprised to see Llorente after missing over 3 weeks, because he went down injured uh, against Genoa. So a month really, and to see him start in place of Cristante, who obviously not a defender, but he has been keeping that defense solid enough for these past few games. I think it would be a risk that Mourinho is not willing to take at this moment. But perhaps we could see him off the bench. Who knows how the match goes. Um, I wish one day our patron donation can help you afford a room with views. Well, the patron donations are not as high as one would wish to get a better room, but I have a pretty decent view from here. I got a big pool outside. It's one of those Spanish complexes where you got a really beautiful pool. You got palm trees. I got a beautiful sunrise and sunset. So I got a fantastic terrace where I can eat my spaghetti in the evening. So, but I do agree. We we need the better rooms at Roma Press. So if you like what we're doing, consider supporting me and my endeavors into trying to find a decent room while traveling, and also John with his 25 children. And you can do so by going to patreon.com/Roma Press, and there you can support us, and I can report back with regards to what rooms I can afford then. um, what exactly happened between Lukaku and Inter, and why is Lukaku not saying anything in defense to the blackmail of Inter on his name? Well, Lukaku hinted at some things when he was now with Belgium. He hinted at the fact that the media did not tell his side of the story, and that perhaps one day he will come out in the open and spill it all out. Inter maintain, and mind you, Inter and especially Beppe Marotta is very good friends with a lot of journalists in Italy. So whenever Inter need a story to be put out there, Beppe Marotta has the phone number of every single major news outlet in Italy, including Gianluca Di Marzio on Sky Sport. I mean, Gianluca Di Marzio is is basically Marotta. Is very on very good terms with Marotta, and reports on anything that happens around Inter based on what Marotta gives him. So I think what happened last summer, the story in Italy is that Lukaku led Inter to believe that he would be interested to coming back on a permanent deal from Chelsea. And then supposedly during negotiations with Inter, he backed out and he turned his attention to Juve. And then for a while, he was interested in joining Juve. And so Inter, as soon as they found out that he had tried to get Juve to open talks with his agent, they got really angry and they dropped him. Now, you can make of it what you will. I don't know how these things work. For me, the transfer market is a hellhole, and there is no hope for any of us, including players and agents and sporting directors. It's madness. It's something that you cannot comprehend how frustrating and misleading it can be. Lukaku was on the bench in his last 8 Champions League matches. No wonder he wanted out. Well, that's what Italian media also hinted at as the reason for his exit from Inter, the fact that he didn't feel important under Simone Inzaghi. Well, I guess we'll find out. If we pull off a result at San Siro and Lukaku is feeling it, I think he could spill some beans. RIP to any eardrums in that game because of the whistles they'll bring. Yeah, apparently Inter supporters, led by their ultras, so the Curva Nord at San Siro, will give out 55,000 whistles, which will be blown each time Romelu Lukaku touches the ball. So it's going to be a tough game, and that is why, again, more so tomorrow, it's a matter of getting it over with. Business, it has to be business as usual. I always say, Roma, the greatest thing they can do as a team is to learn to handle these games, the ones that are leading up to a really big, difficult matchup, is to learn to handle them as business as usual. Just think of it as a game that you have to get rid of. It's out of the way. You win, you move it out, you move on. Unfortunately, they haven't yet learned to do it, and I keep hoping that someday, sometime, somewhere, they will learn how to do it, because it's vital for a team that wants to compete for Champions League football. That is the first step to really getting it on, and being able to compete with the other top teams, because that's what they do. They face the smaller opponents. They are focused. They don't think about the next game. They think about that game. They win. They move on. Unfortunately, Roma, too many times I've seen them, already thinking about the game that you're supposed to be playing in a week or 2 weeks, and then you start losing, and we all know the same old story, right? Alex, Matic left unceremoniously, but we have moved on. No one talks about him. He did his best for us. Roma is a mature club. We don't even remember who Zaniolo is. Roma, well, also because Roma don't give out interviews. Thiago Pinto doesn't give out interviews, aside from the occasional pre-match interview that he has to give out before a game. When where he's asked about, I don't know, the status of a player or the availability of someone, or if the team is looking to acquire somebody in January. Roma don't talk to the media at all, whereas Inter are on very good terms with the media and feel very comfortable and the Beppe Marotta is basically doing doing a last dance. He even announced that he wants to get into politics after quitting football. So God help Italy. Sylv, Cristante played 100 minutes against England, would be tired. So easier playing a center back, less taxing, and give Llorente a few more days to be ready for Slavia. Well, I think, but Cristante is fine. Cristante is a guy who last year I think played 53 games, and he's been playing on average 50 games under Mourinho. So I think he's fine. He's played 900 minutes for Roma this season. So it's amazing what he's doing. I don't think many people want to acknowledge how important this guy is. Today I even put up an article that was mentioned in Il Messaggero, that Cristante, if he fulfills his time at Roma, he's on his way to breaking into the club's top 10 players, but with most appearances made. He could surpass even Bruno Conti. Okay, so let it sink in. Brian Cristante, the guy that everybody liked to clown and make fun of, it could be one of the all-time performers for the team. So tomorrow we will see what the team does. Expect Rui Patricio again to start. We'll see Miles VR against Slavia Prague. Expect to see Rickarsdorp start again. I think that's what we all agree is the best option on the right flank. And expect to see Leonardo Spinazzola start, despite Nicola Zalewski. This whole situation around him, the fact that he even accepted dropping back to Poland's under 21 national team, that says a lot about the moment that he's in. I think still You have to give it to Leonardo Spinazzola. Wasn't called up by Italy, but was there and worked with Mourinho over these last 2 weeks with the hopes of getting his form back. Obviously got an assist against Cagliari, so that's positive, and hopefully can still deliver. He's the kind of player who can make a difference. We forget, but and probably he's the first one to forget too. I mean, Spinazzola, why was he not called up by Italy? Because right now he is in a slump. He's been in a slump ever since that injury. So luckily, Rick Karsdorp seems to be on his way up. So that's encouraging. That a player that was so close to leaving the club and being on the margins of the club for so long is now once again back into it, reintegrated with the rest of the team, and doesn't show signs of of wanting out. He seems committed to it, so that's important. Expect Bove to start, expect Leandro Paredes to start. Paredes got back, I think yesterday he got back from Argentina, so that's a long trip, and he hasn't played with Argentina much this past international break, so could be a slow start for him. We'll see how that goes. Mm. Spinazzola, new contract like El Shaarawy, reduced wages. No, I don't believe that. Mm-mm. I don't. I don't know because Spinazzola's contract runs out this summer, and I don't. Roma are not known for letting their players go for free, but I think this is a situation where the club haven't made any contact with the player's agent to renew his deal, and I think it's only reasonable. I mean, it's only what we've seen from Spinazzola over this last year and a half. Uh, not convincing, not too convincing. And he's going to he's 30, so not with a whole lot of upside, and that injury that he had really messed him up. So I think for now we have to approach him as this temporary solution. So until Zalewski gets back on his feet, until Roma may find a new alternative option there, we'll have to make do. I think Spinazzola has been good the past couple games, so he deserves the start. Unpopular opinion, I think Spinas deserves a 1-year renewal. Yeah, but he would be the last player to agree to a 1-year renewal. Spinazzola rejected an offer from Saudi Arabia this summer, and that was a long-term offer. So I don't think he will accept a 1-year renewal. This is not a player who's 37 years old. He's 30. So he's 30 and wants to get back to the Italian national team. Hi, Samuel. Thank you for joining us. We can also Mourinho also again went out of his way to defend El Shaarawy and Zalewski, both of whom, as you may have heard, have been accused of being involved in this illegal betting scandal in Italy. I said it on the podcast. For me, it's obvious that more players are involved than just the three guys that have been singled out: Fagioli, Zaniolo, and Tonali. Those are the three players that have their involvement has been confirmed. They are being punished by the Italian authorities. There's obviously more to it than just those three names, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that you cannot handle justice the way Fabrizio Corona, a former convicted felon, a former paparazzo, a guy who sold, who extorted people for a living for so many years. You cannot treat his word as gospel. So the club did the right thing to release a statement, very firm statement, fully backing Zalewski and El Shaarawy, both of whom have filed a lawsuit against Corona. And Mourinho again reaffirmed his trust in them. He said, "I confronted both of them. We talked, we discussed this, and I fully trust them." So that's, for me, that is very important, because these things, they can get out of hand. Like, I wouldn't want to be in Juve's dressing room right now, where Fagioli is, convicted of this betting. At the center of it, you got Paul Pogba with this whole doping thing. So That's not a good look, and it doesn't bode well for what goes on inside the dressing room. So for me, for as a Roma fan, it's very important to see that these news, that these rumors rather, that then get circulated as news, and in Italy they always bounce back. They have a really large echo. I mean, a guy like Fabrizio Corona can go on public television and make these names and reveal them like it was nothing, and expect no consequences from it. It's very important that the clubs got these players back. That's, for me, it means a lot, because we know how fragile Roma are, and in a season anything can happen. So the less external pressure, the less external, yeah, just focus on what is going on the pitch and in the dressing room. That's all I can really say about this situation. It's a shame that this has dragged on for so long, this news, because it's the last thing one would like to talk about when discussing football, right? Betting, illegal betting, and not a good look. Roman says, sorry, Nino first. Nino says Spina feels like one of those situations where he feels like he probably can't do his best at Roma anymore because of the trauma of the injury and what it did to his career. Roman adds, Spina should go to Saudi for 2 years, then come back, retire at Roma the Elsha way. Samuel says Spinazzola is gradually getting his form back. Coming out of such injury he faced is not easy. His quality is never in doubt to me. And then Silv adds, sell Spinazzola to Arabia for sizable fee or keep to help satisfy Roma's objective this season. Well, Silv, as I said, Spinazzola's contract runs out in the summer, so last resort you have right now is to sell him for a minimal fee in January. That's it. That's the best you can get. So that's the situation. Is you may be looking to lose Spinazzola on a free. I see contrasting views on him. There are some that believe that he can still deliver. There are some that are not so confident. I think that injury, we can't keep talking about that injury forever. This injury happened in Euro 2020, so 2 years ago, over 2 years ago. You cannot keep going back to it, because at some point in time you have to move on. Like Alessandro Florenzi, yes, for example, Alessandro Florenzi has not been the same since his ACL, but he became a shit player, and he's now a shit player. It's not, is he going to get better? Same with Nicolo Zaniolo. Nicolo Zaniolo tore 2 ACLs. Yes, unfortunately, we all now agree that Nicolo Zaniolo is a different player, and we have to talk about the player we have we have now in Italian football, right? Nicolo Zaniolo is not the Nicolo Zaniolo that was there in 2019. Is the Nicolo Zaniolo that we saw more recently. So with Spinazzola, unfortunately, I think it comes down to that. I think this is a player that still has little glimpses of quality, but is this is never going to be the same guy again. Alex says, we have a father of a coach. Jose is so cool. He should have just poked Anthony Taylor's eye for Roma fans. Well, hopefully not, because he already got 4 games suspended in the Europa League, and that was just for confronting Anthony Taylor in the parking lot. So I don't think that would have been wise. Samuel says some media are just out to distract Roma because of Mourinho's specialty. Why include El Shaarawy and Zalewski when it's not proven? I can assure you Roma players have integrity like Mourinho. Well, it wasn't, to be perfectly clear, Roma players were not the only ones to have been accused by Corona without evidence. Lazio's Casale was accused. Gatti from Juventus was accused. Nicolo Barella of Inter was also accused. So this is not a conspiracy against Roma. This is just Fabrizio Corona, a guy whose credibility is down to zero, trying to build himself a new reputation after getting out of prison not so long ago. Spina is a good player, and his overlapping is still impressive despite injuries. However, his decision-making crossing is too poor. Karsdorp Christensen, no fancy footwork, but provides good assist. I think Spinazzola's strengths always was that getting the opponent caught off guard on the dribble, right? Like his acceleration, his dribbling was always the thing that put him in a position, had him hold an advantage over the opponent. He was always, when he had the ball to his feet and he was able to even get that little extra space just to get the ball off to a teammate, that's what made him special. But more recently, he's lost that. He's lost that ability to accelerate, to catch the opponent by surprise. He's become very predictable. But I think it's all here. Like most of it, it's here, and that's why the injury excuse for me is not no longer excuse, because most of the time with these players, when they have suffered these long-term injuries, it mostly affects their psyche, how much confidence they hold. And I think Spinazzola, a player that at his best was thriving off confidence. I mean, Euro 2020, the highlight of his career, it's him at his best, at his most confident. That's his whole secret. The player that we have now is somebody who is desperately trying to figure it out, and not giving himself enough time. Guys, we have 30 people watching. We got only 15 likes. I need more people liking this so that more people can join. Hey, Anthony, our good patron Anthony says, "Hey, boys, just got home. Hopefully the conversation has been positive for the upcoming match." Well, it's Roma, so a bit of this, a bit of that. Silv says, journalists tried to bait Jose in press conference regarding Palladino furious last Monza match. Oh, yes. Well, I didn't transcribe that part because for me, when there is a press conference, sometimes there's this banter between Jose and some of the journalists, and some of the talking points are really they go nowhere. So yes, it's true. One of the reporters wanted to get a reaction out of Mourinho with regards to what the Monza coach Palladino said last season after, I think it was Roma Monza, right? It was a draw. Could it have been 0-0 or 1-1? And Palladino was very upset after the match with regards to how Roma's bench behaved. And so a journalist tried to get a reaction out of Mourinho for something that Palladino said 6 months ago. Like, who cares? Will Sanchez be back? HH says, no, Sanchez will not be back tomorrow. I think it is really down to the next few days to see if he can be available for the Europa League match against Slavia Praga. He should be, I think, back for Inter. The situation with Sanchez is very bizarre because, as a lot of media reports in Italy have suggested, this is a player who, after getting injured against Sheriff Tiraspol, Roma run tests on him, several tests, and clinically he was sound. Like, there was nothing wrong with him. So for the past few weeks, he's been training on his own without a clear assessment of what was bugging him. So it's one of those mysteries. This is a player who could be one of the top players in the world in his position, and yet this injury plague that has affected him for most of his career is really it's making his his career, in my opinion, a nightmare. I mean, it's a nightmare because a player so young and so talented, and yet cannot even put two matches together. Andy, where's the escort hiding? Roman, I am a gentleman, and there is no escort service that could ever satisfy my my sentimental side. Samuel, Spinazzola would still get to his best form. I can assure you that. Spinazzola is just careful. The influence of the injury is still there. It takes time. Not everyone comes out of it at the same time. Yes, but the time is running out, Samuel. Spinazzola has only a few months left on his contract with Roma, and so far he has not been delivering. So it's only natural for him and Roma to make considerations for the future. It's very funny because a lot of people take issue with this team. and they criticize this team, and they repeatedly say how things don't work and how some of the players are not good enough. And yet, when we have a situation where Spinazzola, a player who clearly, as much as we all love him for his personality, I guess, has not been good enough for a long time now, and we get so much tolerance for that. I don't know, man. It's to me, it just seems very contradicting to expect excellence and require the best possible players, but then be so mild mannered toward a player who's clearly been not on his game for almost 2 years, over 2 years now. Sanchez is technically only behind Dybala. I do believe that Sanchez is a very good player. It will be I mean, whoever discovers a way to keep Sanchez healthy should get a Nobel Prize. Samuel, that is what I meant with Spinazzola. What you just said about Renato Sanchez ratifies what I said of Spinazzola. Well, yes, but Sanchez is on loan here, so this is not a player that, I mean, if it works out, great. If doesn't, no. I mean, Roma are not going to take a chance on Sanchez if he keeps getting injured. That's in the loan obligation, is that he needs to fulfill a certain number of appearances, and if he doesn't, he's gone. So with Spinazzola, on the other hand, you're looking at a player who is out, running out of his contract, and his camp have also made no attempts to discuss a renewal. So I think Spinazzola also is not somebody that necessarily wants to stay here any longer. Do you think it's psychological more than physical with Sanchez? I really don't know. I think at some point, I mean, if this is the outcome, if this is the analysis, that there is no serious injury with him, that all the tests that Roma have run on him in these past few weeks revealed nothing, then it has to be something also behind that. AP, titles are not everything. The only thing that matters is winning. Jose Mourinho. AP, thank you for being here. Another good patron and another huge fan of Jose Mourinho. If you know, you know. Jose stays or goes. Real Madrid calling. Well, John never got off to writing this on the website, and I don't want to write the articles for him, because when he has a news, when he has an exclusive, it's his. I don't want to. But he mentioned it on the podcast, so I can say it. John was in touch with the agency, with members of the agency that is run by Mendes, who's the agent of Jose Mourinho, and Mourinho's entourage are still waiting for Roma to clarify the situation. So from what I gather, from what John told me, is Mourinho and his camp are actually open to think about continuing at Roma. They're open to discussions, but Roma have still not made contact with them. So they're waiting. I think the deadline would probably be by the end of this year, a meeting, between Mourinho, the owners, and to just clarify what the plans are, so that everybody is happy. I'm pretty convinced Sanchez injuries is mental at this point. Also, after the first few real injuries he did have, it's true. He in the past he had real nagging injuries, real painful long-term injuries. But ever since then, the stuff that, if you look up his injury history, it's all been 2 games missed here, 3 games missed there, 4 games missed here, 2 games. It's been on and off, and as Mourinho said, it's a mystery, because he's worked at some of the best clubs in the world with some of the best medical staffs in the world, and we got nothing. We got nothing. Sorry. Score predictions for Monza. Well, I would expect Roma not to concede any goals against a team that has struggled to score away from home. So to me, at least to keep a clean sheet. I don't want to make a real score prediction, because I would expect Lukaku to score a goal. That's as far as I'll go. As I expect Lukaku to keep delivering, because he gave me no reason to not believe in his in the moment that he's living in right now, the moment that he's experiencing. He's on fire. So I expect that to go on, and I expect Roma to continue building on that defensive solidity that we've seen recently. So, and the fans are still waiting for top four. Yeah, it's, again, guys, it takes two to tango. So the fact that, Roma haven't contacted Mourinho about his future, and Mourinho doesn't know what the future may hold for him, it's because a lot of things are at stake. You have to get the objectives that you set out for fulfilled. You need to get Champions League football. We've said it time and time again. So it's not like Roma are, you know, not talking to Mourinho because they're angry or something, or they don't care. No, it's because it really takes two to tango. So yes, we want to continue together, but there are these objectives that we set out for, and these objectives must be fulfilled. And it works like that with players, players who are, as you say, like Spinazzola. Are you delivering? Are you giving us the performances that we need from you in order to give you a new contract? If not, then goodbye. And that works both ways, I'm sure. Let's see. Nino, I also feel like I could go either way with Mourinho leaving or not. With our current squad, I do think it's a good fit for him, but I don't know what his motivation to stay could be, to be honest. Honestly, that's for me, it's one of the things is that Mourinho made an effort to stay here this summer. Like, he made it a point. He was very open about it. He said time and time again, I refused one of the biggest offer a manager received from Saudi Arabia. So he made it a point that he stayed for his third year because he believed in the group, because he wanted to be there for them. So in my mind, it's more difficult to envision right now a new contract for him. I think that also works for Mourinho. The fact that that maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. Maybe he looks for a team. Maybe going back to Real Madrid. We've heard interest from Real Madrid. We got interest from Saudi. Who knows? As long as he's Roma manager, I want the best for him, and I want the team to really gather around him, because I think that with Mourinho, it is definitely possible to achieve top four. With anybody else, I don't know. I doubt it. Final comments, guys, and when we'll close this chat, and hopefully we'll see each other tomorrow after the game. Mourinho's recent comments make it seem he has one foot out the door, needs to stop talking about Saudi. Well, I mean, Saudi are also making, and those are things that he's being asked of. And Saudi are also making it difficult for him to keep quiet. Because imagine you're getting offers that you're turning down. I mean, he's being offered 50 million a season, and he's turning it down. So, imagine that. He has to be positive about it. He has to be nice to them, because if that ship sails, goodbye retirement. Okay, guys, I think this is it. I think we got it out of the way. This whole anticipation for tomorrow. Roma finally back on the pitch after this international break. Monza, not a team to be underestimated. I don't want to see a shit show. I want to come on here tomorrow to do a live stream. I really do. But if the team doesn't deliver, I will not come on here. And I think we can all agree that it's deflating when we have to confront each other right after a match that did not go the way we expected it to go. I expect tomorrow to see a confident, reassured performance. And if the team delivers on that promise, then I can promise you that we will see each other on here at the Roma Press YouTube channel for another live stream where we can discuss, hopefully, what is a positive result for Roma. Without further ado, please consider subscribing so that you know when these live streams are on, so that you can watch the latest podcast episodes in video right here. And if you like our show, if you like the website, if you like our social media work, you can help us by becoming a patron, and you can do so by going to patreon.com/Roma Press. You can select any plan you like, and you can help us a lot. So thank you so much for following me on this Saturday afternoon or morning or evening or night, wherever you are. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the interactions. Hopefully Roma get a good result tomorrow so that we can see each other again. And until next time, guys, thank you for your support. Forza Roma always. Ciao.